A lot of my clients are empaths. They are people that have that intuitive ability to feel what other people are feeling, okay? They can pick up on other people's energy. They are basically like emotional sponges, all right? They'll be around a certain person and they can pick up that energy of that person. Sometimes they don't even realize that they're changing their own energy in response to the other person or the people that they're around. And so a lot of my clients, as they're beginning to unmesh from dysfunctional family behaviors, they start to feel empowered, right? They're starting to put the focus on themselves. They're starting to heal. They're starting to change their beliefs, their self-worth, their self-love. And as they're doing this, it becomes really, really apparent that the people around them, just how toxic they are. Now, it's not that the toxicity changes. It's just that because they are changing, their awareness as to how other people are feeling and reacting to this new empowered way of them being becomes more obvious. So a lot of my clients wind up facing the same issues. They're like, Michele, I'm finally, feeling like I'm in my own body, feeling like I'm living as myself. But the second these specific family members are around me, it's like I can't hold on to myself. They're so miserable, or their energy is so negative that it's like it overpowers my emotions or my energy, and I can't stay, or I can't hold on to my emotional state. It's something that almost all of my clients go through as they are healing and empowering themselves, if they're still living with family members that are like that. So first of all, I just want to mention that if you are an empath, right, and you're at this place where you're noticing that the negative energy of people around you is affecting you, I want to kind of explain why sometimes that's a challenge to kind of separate from yourself. And it's because as empaths, right, if your intuitive, empathic abilities are very high and you were raised in an environment with a toxic parent, whether it was a malignant narcissist, whether it was an unhealed codependent, or someone with addiction issues, or even someone with PTSD that hasn't been healed yet, right? Let's say you were raised by one of those parents. Well, oftentimes they expect something from you emotionally. Just talking about malignant narcissists for a second. They use their family members as emotional thermometers, right? When they're feeling down, they cause another family member to feel down, and that raises their energy up. So there's always this like emotional balance going on in those family dynamics. And the reason I bring this up is because if you were a child in that environment, then you learned on a subconscious level that your job was to emotionally regulate other people. And so what happens is that you do that without even realizing it. Usually empaths will have the ability to just be around someone, and they'll read that person's energy and know exactly what emotional temperature they need to be to create balance. They know how to do that without even thinking about it. So what happens is, as they're healing, they start noticing that that behavior that they've always done their whole life, that for a long time was an unconscious behavior, right? It was something they did automatically. Now it's in their conscious awareness, and they're noticing it, and they're realizing how hard it is to not automatically fall into becoming an emotional thermometer for whoever they're around. So that's one of the reasons why it's hard, because you have been conditioned and trained to do that, to notice people's energy, to feel responsible for it, to balance it. So it's second nature to you. The other reason it's challenging at this step in healing, right, when you're trying to hold on to your emotional state, is because the other people in your life have also been conditioned and trained for you to respond to their energy a certain way. And if you're at a certain point in your healing where you are no longer reacting, you are no longer getting sucked into the drama, where you're actually just really coming into your own skin, they notice it. And as a result, they wind up giving more negative energy. And it's almost like you're getting punished for getting healthier. So I just wanted to bring up those two challenges as the person's healing, as they're starting to come into their own skin, and as they're stopping that habit of absorbing other people's energy. Those are two challenges that will come up, okay? It's just a part of healing. It's part of you breaking out of your own conditioned behaviors, and it's part of your family members learning to see that you're no longer in those conditioned behaviors. So what do you do? If you're finally starting to feel like you're finally feeling happy, you're finally feeling your own emotions, and people around you are just, reacting with negativity. Maybe it's with a look. Maybe you're happy and you look up and you just see that look of disdain or that look of contempt. Or maybe you're young still and you have a parent that will say something like, "What are you happy about? Wipe that smile off your face and do this or do that." Or if you're enjoying yourself, they'll tell you the 50 things that you should be doing so that you never feel like you can enjoy yourself, right? They're always doing something to take away that positive, good feeling that you're having. Well, this advice isn't to tell you either way, whether you should stay, whether you should go, and what personal decisions you need to do to create a safe environment for yourself, because that is a personal decision, and everyone's life circumstance is different. And you know your circumstance better than I know your circumstance. So that's a decision that you'll have to make when you feel the time is right. However, the advice I'm going to give is for anyone that might still be in the relationship where they can't leave. And they have to be around certain dynamics. They can't change them. However, they no longer want to lose their energy. So these are some tips that really, really work. Step number 1 is awareness and learning to observe and notice where another person's energy starts and ends and where your energy starts and ends. So I kind of liken it to let's say you walk into someone's house, right? And you're looking at their things and you pick something up, and whether it's something you like or not, and you notice it, you're seeing, oh, this is what this is. But in no way, shape, or form are you thinking, this is mine. I mean, at least if you're an honest person, you're not thinking that way, right? You know that this belongs to that person. You put it back down and it's theirs, right? We need to learn how to do that emotionally. We need to have that same awareness, like, oh, there's so-and-so giving that nasty look. Oh, saw those daggers. I can see that energy. Or there's so-and-so criticizing me just because I'm happy, like they always do. I can see it. I'm noticing it. So there's that observing. And then you just have to realize that that is their energy. That is them. And you are still you. And you have to notice, okay, well, what am I feeling? They're feeling nasty and mean. What am I feeling? Man, I just had an awesome day. I'm looking forward to this or that. I feel good. So you make a distinction between who's feeling what, okay? The more you practice noticing what someone else is feeling and what you're feeling, especially at the same time, that's when you really sharpen your empathic abilities. That helps you to not lose being an empath, right? Because it's an awesome quality. But you become trained in your ability to perceive someone else's emotion without getting lost in it. Okay, that's step number 1. But you can only really, really overcome or achieve the ability to stay in your energy despite negative energy if you go on to the next step. And the next step is to identify the belief that has kept you absorbing people's energy and identify the belief that you need in order to break out of that learned behavior. So, for example, some empaths do this, right? They soak up another person's energy, or they balance another person's energy because they were taught and trained that they are responsible for making that person happy. And that if that parent is not happy, that somehow it is always that child's fault. So the belief is, I have to balance this person so that they're happy, because that is what I'm on this planet for. That is my purpose in life. Now, obviously, this isn't said on a conscious level. This is something that takes place on a subconscious level, but that's the belief that often drives that behavior. Another belief could be, if I don't balance this person's energy, I will be rejected. So I need this person to be happy with me in order for me to be happy with me, right? That's another belief that was instilled in childhood. There could be many different beliefs, and each person is different. So in order to allow this information to help you personally, you have to get to know your personal belief as to why, what motivates you to regulate that person's energy or to absorb their energy. Once you know the belief that's driving that behavior, you have to learn the belief, the new belief, or the upgraded program in order to break out of it. So for example, if the belief is, I'm responsible for that person's behavior, right, or that person's happiness. If they're angry, it's my fault, right? If that's the limiting belief, the new belief would be, they're allowed to be angry. I'm still allowed to feel my own feelings. Notice the difference, right? If you were made to feel like you were not allowed to be happy unless the parent was happy, you have to teach yourself. This is the new belief. I'm allowed to be happy. Even if this family member is miserable. Even if this family member chooses to throw daggers with their eyes, I'm still allowed to be proud of what I just accomplished today. Even if they insult me for this great thing that I thought was a positive thing, this grade in school, or this promotion at work, or this reward that I got at school, whatever it is, I thought they would be happy. They're mad. Well, they're allowed to be mad. I'm still allowed to be proud of myself. So there's that belief, right? So that's step number 2, is identifying the limiting belief and learning what the opposite empowering belief you need in order to break out of that conditioned behavior. And the third step is just practice. We have a habit brain. Our brain learns by the everyday things we do, not the things we learned once. You can watch this video and be like, oh wow, that sounds interesting. And if you do not practice the tips, it's gonna, go in one ear and out the other, and it's not going to make an impact in your subconscious programming. But if you begin to practice noticing people's feelings, practice noticing how many times you can catch somebody in a different feeling than you, and allow yourself to feel okay with it. Oh, they're feeling this. They're allowed to feel that. I'm allowed to feel this. Awesome. When you notice that, it's almost like a feeling, a compelling feeling that wants to push you to balance the other person. When you notice that, remember the empowering belief. Wait a second, I'm feeling that because they're angry. And for a long time, I used to think that I had to balance that person so that they wouldn't be angry. But wait a second, I now know that they're allowed to be angry if they want, and I'm still allowed to be happy. I'm still allowed to feel at peace inside. And then practice, practice, practice. I can tell you this, in the beginning it will feel weird, it will feel uncomfortable, but just like a muscle that you exercise regularly gets stronger and stronger, your ability to do this will continue to strengthen. And the awesome part about it is that you will now be in control of your own energy. You'll break out of that habit of being an emotional regulator for anybody, and you'll be in control of your own energy.